Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers.
I'm Will Leggetter.
And today we are joined by our dearest return guest, Becky Muggeridge. Becky, how are you?
Hello. I'm good, a bit tired, but good.
Good. We're rounding out our first Scorsese fortnight. So we gave ourselves one rule, one film a decade. We made ourselves easy on ourselves in the 90s. We'd already done Goodfellas. Actually, to choose between Cape Fear and Casino was a bit of a toughie, but anyway, but that's the past.
I think we chose correctly.
Well, yeah, and we'll undoubtedly do more Scorsese's. Number 2 for me. It's probably number. Where is it for you?
I do like a Casino.
In general,
director-wise, yeah, director. What do you mean, Scorsese?
According to your ranking, William, you have.
Is he not on the list?
He's not on your top 10. I lie. I currently have Paul Thomas Anderson, then Woody Allen, then Martin Scorsese, then Billy Wilder, then Mike Nichols, Coen Brothers, David Fincher, Tim Burton, Tarantino, Rob Reiner. You have Spielberg, Zemeckis, Burton, Nolan, Tarantino, Hitchcock, Coens, Nichols, Wes Anderson, Edgar Wright. Becky, just off the top of your head, who's jumping to mind as your favourite directors?
I was literally just going to say something about this. I feel like I'm much more of a film person than a director person. I, probably awfully to say this, don't really pay that much attention to the directors. And I feel like I'm not consistently in love with all the films of one director. So I probably wouldn't even really be able to rank them. There's a couple of obviously really good ones. Like I love a good Tarantino. Having looked up the other Scorsese films, like they're pretty good as well.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty good. And
obviously Richard Curtis. But like, I don't know. I'm more of a films person.
You're not a big fan of Adam Brooks. Here's the real quiz. We have an upcoming film that you have chosen that's in your top 10 that I just bought, and it's written and directed by Adam Brooks. What
You've
film
had
is
to buy it. She's made you have to buy this film.
Well, it were only 50.
Is it?
Oh.
All right.
Is it definitely maybe?
It's definitely maybe.
Okay. Look, I didn't know who the director was for that, but I really like that film. I think you're probably going to hate it because it's not like the best film ever.
My sister just gave it away. We were eating fish and chips, and I said, I thought you've seen definitely maybe, haven't you? And she was like,
she made you pay for it.
What?
You said you got it for 50p.
No, I'd already bought it. It came up at dinner, and I said, and she was like, I haven't seen it. And I said, yes, you have. It's the one where Ryan Reynolds and he's talking to Abigail Breslin, and it's the 3 women, but you don't know who it is. And then I was like, it's Rachel Weisz, and it's Elizabeth Banks, and it's, who's the other one? And she goes, it's Isla Fisher. And then she had this wry smile. And I said, it's her, isn't it? And she went, well, yeah. And it's because they have the same action, or it's something. So anyway. But Usual Suspects.
I think you'll enjoy it.
Usual Suspects is still just as enjoyable. Actually, prime example of a film that is more enjoyable on the second watch once you know the twist. I'm not saying that definitely maybe is as good as Shutter Island. But who knows? I haven't seen it. Maybe it's my new Citizen Kane.
Oh, we're about to name Shutter Island.
Shutter Island.
Give you a briefing about the institution?
All I know is it's a mental hospital.
For the criminally insane.
We take only the most dangerous, damaged patients, ones no other hospital can manage.
You're hereby required to surrender your firearms.
We are duly appointed federal marshals.
But during your stay, you will obey protocol. Gentlemen, Welcome to Shutter Island.
Marshal Daniels?
Doctor, so this female prisoner, Rachel Solando, escaped sometime in the last 24 hours.
Is she considered dangerous?
You could say that.
It's 11 miles to the nearest land and the water's freezing.
We don't know how she got out of her room.
Came back for a midnight round, she was gone.
It's as if she evaporated straight through the walls.
Who is 67?
There are a total of, what, 66 patients at this facility?
That is correct, yes.
Well, it seems to me Rachel Solando is suggesting that you have a 67th patient, Doctor.
Ah, interesting episode.
What? In what way? Elaborate. Oh,
I
a minute. No. Stop.
Completely disagree with you.
Stop yourself. I'll finish off my earlier thought. So we were choosing Scorsese-wise, and it basically came down to three of Irishman, Wolf of Wall Street, or Shutter Island. And we chose Shutter Island. Why, Becky?
Because it is in my top 10 at the moment. I don't know if it's still in my top 10. It's kind of undecided. I've only seen this film twice.
It made its way into your top 10 after one watch.
Yeah.
Many films
because
do.
I forget
it
how
is very clever.
I forget how much weirdo I am, and all I do is watch movies over and over again. So I guess that's
really
not weird for some people.
I really like how clever it is, but I think the main consistent factor of my top 10s at the moment is it's a decently good film, at least. But the main thing is that it's something I really enjoy watching and could watch over and over again. And I'm not necessarily sure I could do that with Shutter Island. It's one of those things that, like, it's good to watch every so often, but I wouldn't, want to continue watching it loads.
A lot of people know about this place, but no one will talk, It's like they're scared of something.
You haven't taken any pills, have you? Seen any walking nightmares lately, Marshal?
Pull yourself together, Teddy.
I've built something valuable here.
Don't you get it? You're a rat in a maze.
Valuable things have a way of being misunderstood.
Who knows about this?
Everyone.
The nurses, the orderlies? They couldn't possibly know.
Everyone. You do understand that they can't let you leave.
Going somewhere?
You'll never leave this island.
But Sound of Music.
I could watch that all the time.
A female.
Sing along.
I've watched Sound of Music so many times.
But halfway through Do Re Mi, do you not go, oh, why is this still going on?
No, I just think it's great. I love the whole movie.
Oh, I love Sound of Music too, but my biggest change is that Do Re Mi does not need to go on for half an hour.
It's the conversation on the bridge, maybe, because that just it pace. But I'm sure we'll get to the Sound of Music.
We will get to the Sound of Music. Shutter Island, mine Scorsese, 2010. Funding for Wolf of Wall Street wasn't there yet, so they basically made a popular film. Not that his films aren't popular, but this is a lot more pulpy. This is a lot more of a crowd pleaser. It's weird because this is 2010, and in 10 years, the filmscape has changed so much. I just don't see this sort of movie getting the budget that it does unless it's on a streamer. I just can't see you going to this an adult film. Seth Rogen just made a comment the other day in that his biggest problem in the comedy world when it comes to marketing and releasing movies is that he's going up against $200 million superhero comedies, because all your superhero films are comedies now. So there's something about Mary in 2021, I don't even know what that looks like anymore. Actually, don't even have to go back that far. The Hangover. I just don't
think
see...
No,
I'm not saying it's not timeless.
Me,
I'm not saying that I don't watch Hangover and still laugh at every scene. I'm saying that I just can't see an R-rated... Prime example is Long Shot. I thought Long Shot was great. Yeah. I watched that twice in the cinema. One time just for fun, and the other time because me and my girlfriend had an argument, and we thought, where's a place where we don't have to talk for 2 hours? And it was just as good the second time. And but Long Shot didn't get its money, and nobody went to sell Long Shot, you know. So I just don't see Shutter Island, and I think that's the lamentable shame of the modern film industry. So Will, go on, get this hot button. What's the term?
You're making me do it. Hot knife, hot potato.
No, like red. Button pressing, button, hot button. No, anyway, whatever. Say a hot take. That's it. Take.
Oh, there you go.
Take. Take.
You're making me do it all in one go. I'd rather weave my sourness throughout the episode.
Well, make your opening statement.
Okay.
I'll make my opening statement first. You chose this movie.
I didn't.
I wanted to do Wolf of Wall Street. We'll do Wolf of Wall Street.
And I wanted to do Hugo, so we said, let's do Shutter Island.
Well, no. You wanted Time with Becky.
I did.
There you go. And Hugo's actively bad. Are you really going to make out as if Hugo is better than this?
I'm sure there's a conversation there to be had.
Let's have it now. What do you genuinely think Hugo has better than this?
I was to say Ben Kingsley. No, he's in
both films.
It's got Sacha Baron Cohen with his leg. That's great. I think the genre and the right Shutter Island is my hot take then. I think it's very clever, and I think that final, I'm sure we'll get to that final scene is still as powerful as it ever. It probably gets more powerful each time. However, I don't think this film gets better every time you watch it, knowing the twists. I think on my hindsight watch, I've watched it a few times now, and this latest time I watched it, and all I was thinking was, it's quite dull. Yep, I've used.
Were you on a sedative? I don't understand how you. What do you mean dull? What could possibly?
I kind of understand that in a way. It's quite slow to get to the clever bit. I mean, it very much interweaves things throughout, which I quite like. But when I was watching it, particularly like writing notes for a podcast episode, you know, it took me about an hour or two to write any notes because I was sort of thinking, like there's not actually an awful lot to write about in this period of...
I know I get on my high horse a lot, but I couldn't agree less. I think this film is the opposite of dull. I think this film is the opposite of slow. I think it was so refreshing to watch this after watching some modern shit. I know this is only 2010, but just to be in the hands of an expert filmmaker, I think slow. I mean, Jesus Christ, what's a fast film to you? I mean, this is rapid pace. Every scene builds on the last. The tension keeps rising, and the only time it ebbs is because you can't literally keep the momentum up for the whole of 2 hours. And the times that it does ebb, you might throw in the Ted Levine, Buffalo Bill car conversation straight away in my single minute. Such a thrilling, dense, interesting, multifaceted, once you know what's genuinely happening, conversation that I hang on every word.
Well, Tom,
go on.
Thesaurus aside, let's see what the kids have got to say.
Yes. DiCaprio deserves to eat Oscars for his breakfast every day. Now, we've talked about this before, haven't we? How, for me, the one he should have won for is Wolf of Wall Street. He was just in trouble that year. McConaughey won for Dallas Buyers Club. You think it should have been Jewett Ejiofor for 12 Years a Slave.
12 Years a Slave, yeah.
I think I stick by Leo. I think Leo is the best of those three performances. Becky, do you have a point of view on that?
I mean, I haven't seen some of those others, but I feel like Leo should have got a lot more awards than he has done. I think he's a really great actor. So.
Well, we talked about this on The Departed last episode. I think The Departed's one of his best performances, and he did.
Absolutely.
They campaigned for Blood Diamond instead, which is a terrible performance.
One of my favourite GCSE geography. Well, I didn't even do GCSE geography. Year 8 geography memories is watching Blood Diamond.
Movie had me questioning if I was me. Let me, right, now, you've both said the exact same phrase. The movie's very clever. I have to say, in actuality, that I think...
I don't mean...
Go on.
Clever. I don't mean clever as in it's very... I can't think of a word. I mean, it's clever as in psychologically, as in like that final bit. It really makes you question. I don't think it's clever writing plot-wise.
I think
it's a bit of both, but it really does. Yeah, what that comment says is like it makes you question a lot, because if you're being convinced that you're crazy, are you actually crazy, or are you just being convinced? And that is a very clever thing.
I just think that there is when you take a step back, the plot is so convoluted. It feels an awful lot like a throwback to the sort of William Peter Blatty Ninth Configuration sort of shot corridor, sort of ridiculous plots of some of these, pot boiler novels, that even some of the Agatha Christie's, where you just sort of sit back and go, oh my God, this could never.
The Butler did it.
Vertigo, prime example. The plot of Vertigo is just, I won't say trash, that's completely wrong, but the plot of Vertigo damn near doesn't make any sense, but the characters in it, and I think that the plot in this film works a lot better than the plot in Vertigo, but it's the characters, and it's the interactions, and it's the obsession, and it's the performances, which we're going to get to. This movie really said Uno reverse card. You like Uno?
I love Uno.
Love Uno.
Uno's great. I would have watched the movie on my own accord. Sorry, I would never have watched this movie on my own accords, and I've never been more happy to have been forced to watch a movie.
I was told to watch it in sixth form. I think it was when I was studying for A-levels. One of my friends was just listing off films for me to put in a list, and that was one of them. And she was like, Shutter Island, watch it twice. So I've now watched it twice.
To make you realise how bad it is.
She shouldn't have said that, because that just straight away is like there's a twist.
Well,
and you would have watched it twice anyway, because maybe not straight away, but you would have been like, oh, or maybe you would have got up on YouTube the George Noyce scene again and gone, oh.
It's certainly different the second time you watch it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's good to see it from both perspectives, seeing it from a completely... I think the first time I was with Will, and I was like, what is it? And I kept like suggesting things that it could be. And obviously not all of my kind of thoughts were along the right track. Whereas the second time it's, okay, well, I know what's happened. So now I can appreciate like more of...
Do you remember your wackiest theory? Do you remember your wackiest, craziest...
Not really. I don't really remember what they were.
This was
one of various things.
This was one of actually the first twists that I was able to watch as a twist. My mother famously terrible at giving away twists. Oh, you should watch Usual Suspects. Kevin Spacey's a bad guy. You should watch. I nearly gave away an upcoming film that Will hasn't seen, and I am so happy that Will.
Oh, you've ruined it there because you've now told me that one of these films has a twist. Sliding Doors. Don't be slow.
I haven't seen
Call Me
Sliding
by
Doors.
Your Name.
We're both.
Oh, you haven't?
We're both Sliding Doors virgins. The Apartment.
Is it The Apartment?
Don't just. Will, we have listed about 100 films in the schedule. Don't go.
Peep Show series 5 and 6.
Yeah, the twist is that it's still shit.
Oh no. Oh,
I'm really hoping that the series 3 and 4. I'm laughing hard, or at least laughing.
I will be. I think I think it was clear there were some moments in the last series where you did go, "That's good."
A polite chuckle does not warrant 9 series of my life.
Believe me, a polite chuckle coming from you is quite a compliment.
But it's not, because Jackass 3 makes my ribs hurt. I really need a wee. I misjudged my tea, and I know I should have done it in that half hour where I was funnying about. I'm so sorry. I'll be back.
The bill. The commander was court-martialed.
I can see why.
Nice music. Who is that, Brahms?
No. It's Mahler.
Quite right, Marshal.
Forgive me, gentlemen, my colleague, Dr. Jeremiah Naring.
Quartet for piano and strings in A minor.
Your poison, gentlemen.
Right, if you got it.
Soda and ice, please. Thanks.
Oh, you don't indulge in alcohol? Oh, I'm surprised. Isn't it common for men in your profession to imbibe?
Common enough, and yours?
I'm sorry?
Your profession, doctor, psychiatry.
Yes.
I always heard it was overrun with boozers and drunks.
Best 10-minute stretch.
Yes.
Becky, what is our guest? Why don't you illuminate?
For me, it's fairly obvious because kind of carrying on from what I said earlier, it like takes a while to kind of get to a point where you're like, oh wow, okay.
The
so for
Dachau
me,
sequence.
Yes, it's the lighthouse realization.
The revelations.
Though I also quite like the car explosion scene leading into it.
Yes.
And a special mention goes to, it was one of the dream sequences where he got the migraine and then he went through like the sort of series of flashbacks where he's in the apartment and it's like ashes floating down and then he like goes to give her a hug, then suddenly she's wet and then suddenly she's got blood coming from her stomach.
Okay.
And then it switches to the like the lake scene as well. So I think I like that bit as well. But I think the lighthouse has got to be the best.
I've got, I think, 4 pretty solid ones. I've got the opening, coming to Shutter Island, introductions to all of our lead characters.
Meeting the Zodiac Killer.
Well, allegedly, we don't know.
we don't know. But
Mark
was reunited with him.
This is the thing. I will never not see John Carroll Lynch and go, Arthur Lee Allen. He died before they could get any evidence. Becky, have you seen Zodiac?
I haven't. I watched the BuzzFeed Unsolved Zodiac Killer, and I got really into like reading up on it. I haven't seen the film.
I was watching.
I watched it last night.
It was on TCM, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, I watched the interview with Arthur Lee Allen at his place of work, and my mum said, and she came in and she went, "Oh, is this that movie where you watch it for 3 hours and you still don't know who it is?" And I said, "Yeah, that's the whole point of the film. It's a true story.
They can't make up.
Yeah, it's a true story, and it's all about obsession and our our historical interest in conspiracy and mystery, and then she went,
is it
boring.
documentary style, or is it like...
No, have you seen
very
Gone Girl?
much...
Yeah.
It's the same director. It's very much in the Fincher style of...
Okay.
Have you seen Fight Club? It's just like Fight Club.
It's not like Fight Club.
It's just like Fight Club.
It's like Fight Club. Jet! I've got Jet in my head. I always do. Yeah, sorry. I have the opening. I have the interviews. There's the 2 interviews with the glass tearer, and that lovely woman. She may be my favourite character. The nice lady with
the staff one. The staff member.
No, who killed her husband with an axe. It's not called.
The lovely woman.
Yeah, the lovely woman who is Robin Bartlett playing Bridget Keynes, who is also great in Inside Llewyn Davis. Oh, she's in the movie City of Angels, which I actually have been meaning to watch, where it's Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan as a love story. An angel on earth, a doctor unable to believe, a patient with a secret, a love story made.
That sounds like a Nick Cage movie.
Yeah, that sounds like either my new favourite film or the worst film I've ever seen. But Nick Cage, Meg Ryan, it's got a lot going for it. I love the twist with her, the sort of where she starts talking about Dr. Sheehan, and obviously we know Dr. Sheehan is, and she's being very nice, and she goes, is what my mother would say, easy on the eyes. And then Teddy's was, what are we calling him? Teddy. We're going to call him Teddy or Andrew.
Yeah, Teddy.
Teddy. Teddy, did he ever make a pass at you? And oh no. I also love, I got this down in notes, I love later on, it's the scene where Ben Kingsley's now saying that Chuck never existed. And you can hear her in the background, and I picked it up on my subtitles, and she goes, I don't remember what I meant to remember. Because, right, I'm going to spoil one of my questions now. Why on earth of course they have to keep it in the island, but why, how much did they trust these mentally ill patients to follow through with this huge plan? The axe lady, she seems nice, but even she has a breaking point. I don't remember what I meant to remember, do I know now? Because also Ben Kingsley keeps changing it, and he's like, right, now we're going to pretend that he never had a partner, so just to make him go more mad, maybe. And then, because then also you've got Emily Mortimer, who we find out is later the nurse. She's a really good actress when she plays Rachel in that scene. I imagined that she was an out-of-work actress before she became a doctor on Shutter Island.
You have to have A-level drama to be a doctor.
And she went, and Ben Kingsley came up and said, we want you to be Rachel. And she goes, okay, here we go. And she really goes for it. And maybe that's a change. I don't know why she has to be the nurse at the end. I mean, she has to be the nurse because we need to know that she was Rachel, I guess. It's very convoluted. Very, very convoluted.
Who was the person in the cave? Did that get explained?
That's a hallucination. Patricia Clarkson.
Yeah. Because that's also supposed to be Rachel, but not.
That's Rachel 2. Yeah, who's your favourite Rachel 2? Is it this, or is it Maggie Gyllenhaal in The Dark Knight, the second Rachel after Katie Holmes?
Or Series 4, Episode 1 of Glee, the next Rachel.
Oh.
The new Rachel, actually.
Oh, I am sorry.
Is she the competition winner, or is she the one
who
became Supergirl?
That's Marley. That's Marley, yeah.
Is she the one who became Supergirl?
Yes.
She's great. What's she in? She was in something and she
Glee.
was really good. Yes, no, I know she was in Glee. Melissa Benoist. Whiplash. She was his girlfriend in Whiplash, wasn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're just a terrible. You spend all your life drumming. Don't be a drummer. And then he goes, no, I want to be a drummer. Oh, do you remember Marley's second name?
Jefferson.
Rose.
Oh, yeah.
Because she does a great Buenos Aires, doesn't she?
Yes, indeed.
Will would remember.
Will clearly has a crush on Melissa Benoist, but he's not.
Oh, no, I was just referencing that it's an Evita song.
Oh, I thought it was a combination of a beautiful woman singing Evita, and you were just flabbergasted. Because
I'm always shocked when. And Ricky Martin's on Glee as well.
Yeah, and they did a Madonna week on Glee.
Yeah, it's great. It's all Evita. Everything's
They did an Antonio Banderas week on Glee.
They did. They did.
They didn't.
Right.
That's a lie. Ward C is my other 10-minute stretch, culminating in the scene with George Noyce, which is just sensational. The wonderful Jackie Earle Haley. This is a real. I prefer on the second watch of this. I prefer the subtle stuff a lot more than I do the gun fumble with Mark Ruffalo. It's on every bloody Watch Mojo video, and it's always. Did you notice that he's supposed to be really good with his gun, but he fumbles with his gun? Yeah, it's a bit. That one's a bit on the nose. I mean, I'm saying all this. Didn't notice it the first time. So, in actuality, all of these comments and little things don't matter because I didn't see them. So, more credit to the film.
To Martin.
Yeah, more credit to Marty. And then we have Revelations. Will, do you have any other 10 minutes?
Hello. I've just written that the opening, that establishment of them on the boat. And then that the island growing, I like that, and then the reveal. They're the two bits where I was awake.
I just don't understand. You would like some shit, Will. You genuinely enjoy some terrible, terrible films.
Oh yeah, they're great. I love it.
You call this boring?
Yeah.
About Time's boring. That was genuinely dull. That was genuinely dull. I don't care. It's genuinely dull. That's an actively dull film in parts.
What's our next category?
It's my specific favourite part, which apparently will be the only favourite. I genuinely am flabbergasted.
I've written some parts.
The fog, the boat coming out of the fog. When Ben Kingsley, there's a couple of Ben Kingsley moments which are simultaneously very funny, because he's doing his moral. He couldn't be winking more at the audience if he tried. And the two ones I noticed are when he's talking about old psychiatric terms and ways they did things, and he goes, they used to put them underwater and until they got hypothermia, or even drowned. and Teddy just doesn't know. The Rock search. Again, my favourite thing is looking at all of the extras who just are so tired of this goddamn charade that they've been put on. And so, like, one of them's throwing rocks into the ocean, one of them's just pissing, and it's just like, yeah, come on, everybody.
My wife, I know. I climbed down a cliff to get you. I trusted you. I risked everything to come in here after you. Everything!
I know, boss. We're running out of time here, Andrew. I swore before the Board of Overseers that I could construct the most radical, cutting-edge role play ever attempted in psychiatry, and it would bring you back. I thought that if we let you play this out, we could get you to see how untrue, how impossible it is. You've had the run of the place for 2 days. Tell me, where are the Nazi experiments? The satanic ORs?
Andrew, listen to me. If we fail with you, then everything that we've tried to do here will be discredited, everything.
We're on the front lines of a war here, old boy. And right now, it all comes down to you.
I also like that Dr. Corley is a really nice doctor. Sure, this is... And I mean, they have the throwaway line where he goes, the most elaborate role play ever. You're damn right, this is the most elaborate role play ever. He goes, I have this radical idea that if you're nice to people and you talk to them, that you might get through to them. And I think that that's a nice angle, and that he's not just a crazy Nazi doctor, which Max von Sydow...
And then he decides to lobotomise him.
Well, so the big question that actually people say it's a big question.
I think it's quite obvious.
There's just no ambiguity to it at all, is there? People are always like, they think they've figured a big thing out, and they're like,
no,
ooh.
He's just saying to Mark, yes, I know exactly what's going on, but I would rather
be dead, or at least be a vegetable. You know, there is just no ambiguity in it at all. And I think it's a beautiful ending. I think it's a fitting ending. I think it's a harrowing ending. And I think it really, for me anyway, cements the film as a great, great film. And for you...
It is a shame that it's bookended by two great things. It's just the contents within. It's like getting a prawn mayo sandwich. I love bread.
But you don't like prawns?
Oh, that was a bad example because I love prawns.
And also, you don't get sandwiches if you don't order them.
Yeah.
You don't have to eat anything well.
Hold on. I ordered a ham. Why have I been giving a... It was a bad analogy. It was a...
The end of the nice lady interview where he goes, "You ever heard of Andrew Ladis?" And she goes, "Huh, I've never heard of him." I think she does a wonderful job. Who's that guy in the psychiatrist meeting who goes, "Rule of 3, I love it." And also, they never, and I'm surprised because they make everything else abundantly clear to you. The rule of 3 is his 3 dead kids, isn't it?
Probably.
I don't know if it's ever really explained. Yeah, I didn't really think about it. I just kind of forgot about that note after a while.
Because who is patient 67?
There was a lot of focus on who is patient 67, who is 67. And the other part was just sort of forgotten about.
Yeah. I think, for me, in the hands of different actors, a different director and a different editor, and a different cinematographer, this could be one of the worst films ever. I think if you look at the bare bones script, it's so on the nose, and it's so hammy. And it's so elevated by what Scorsese and Thelma Schumacher do, and the performances. The reverse smoke. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say one of the things about this film is like, there are things that, there are things that I would change, I think. Like, for example, that note, like the sort of, I don't know, they didn't really focus on it enough. They focused on the 67 part of it, but not the other part of it. And also, was that like deliberately planted so that was that all part of this role play as well to help him like slowly clock on, or
it's the plan makes absolutely no sense. I go back to Vertigo. The minute you start thinking about the
Yeah.
You start losing your way.
There's other stuff. There's like there's obviously what was it? Before we get to that, there's the Woman in Black 2, which I mean that's just it's weird bringing that one up, but the plot is sending a group of evacuee children to a house that's famous for a child murdering thing, whatever it is. So that it just doesn't make sense. There was one we were watching the other day that just really doesn't make sense.
But I did watch The Woman in Black too. But the evacuation was a bit of a thing of any house would do. So a large mansion, and they don't know that ghosts are there, do they? They don't know that ghosts are there.
That's why I said thing. But that house and that village alone is renowned and famous in the local community for having a lot of dead children. So why would you send...
How many does she kill? How many does the Woman in Black actually kill?
We don't know, but this is 40, 50, 60 years later. And by that point as well, there was, hundreds.
Do you remember when The Woman in Black was like the biggest film in England?
I enjoyed it.
I thought it was great too. But it was like, for some reason, it was just the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah, it was because it was... Daniel's.
Oh yes, it was Daniel.
They made it. Was it a 12A? They made it so they could get the kids to watch it.
Yeah, it was a 12A.
Bring in his audience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the thing. Is it was a 12A, so all these teens went to see it, and then we're like, "Oh my god, it's so scary!" And you're like, "Well, no way."
I remember my mum. I remember the ending to this day. The Woman in Black, making him kill himself. So that he could then be with his wife and daughter. I remember son. I remember that.
None of that's in the book,
isn't it?
No, it's stupid. The ending. Oh well.
I liked the ending. What can I say? Well, are you a big Susan Hill fan, Will?
I am. I've behind me. I've just got the many Susan Hill books actually.
What is the ending of the book?
You know what? I can't remember.
It's that good.
I don't think he dies.
Oh right. What's the ending of the 80s miniseries? Not miniseries, TV movie.
I can't remember
because that's recently been restored as.
League Gentlemen love that, don't they?
They do. Yeah. They do. I might buy the restoration.
I think he's in the park with his wife and child, and I think another horse and carriage or a tree falls on them in the park or something. I think he just brings the curse with him. He doesn't run into the way.
That sounds like the wackiest ending to a horror movie ever. Tree, they're sat in bench, and a tree falls on them.
And the Woman in Black just there, she's holding a rope.
Can we get back to Shutter Island?
Yes.
Go on, try.
After this massive detour.
Love specifically the Buffalo Bill line. Oh, I know you. I keep saying Buffalo Bill. Ted Levine.
Yes.
I re-listened to our Silence of the Lambs podcast, and Becky found it very funny when I talked about Ted Levine's other films, and I said he was great in Heat and great in Birth, and he is great in both of those movies, and my opinion still stands. The Tie Bomb. And the slow motion, the little girl walking, little Rachel, and shooting Ben when the blood pops out of the back, and then he looks back, and then the gun's changed. Ah, wow, so clever. Will's more general favourite part.
Ben Kingsley plays the same character in every single film except for Gandhi.
Schindler's List.
No, I could see similarities.
How? I guess he's nice.
Yeah, he does the same thing, which I'm not
blaming. Wait a minute,
about.
Have you seen Sexy Beast?
I haven't.
Watch Sexy Beast.
Okay.
He plays a London Cockney gangster who says the C word every other line.
Ooh.
So it's a little bit different from Gandhi. It's excellent. So watch Sexy Beast.
What about the lighting? I'll pick on production design, costume, lighting in general. I think the lighting in this film is superb. It's not lit. It's more of the lack of light, the empty space. It's what's not there, but what isn't there. So
the thing kind of along the same lines that I wanted to mention was the soundtrack. Because it is it's very clever the way it's used to build tension. It's a great example of movie music. And I think my favourite part of the soundtrack is when he opens the door to the lighthouse and it just stops. Very sudden. And it like builds up and then just stops. And it's almost cliche, but it's great.
Very similar names. Robert Richardson did the cinematography and does an excellent work. And I can't bloody find him. Is the guy from the band? I think he's called Robbie Richardson, sound department. Oh Jesus H. Philip? No, it's called Robbie music department. Yeah, Robbie Robertson and Robert Richardson. And basically, he's Scorsese's score guy. So he collects all of these, because obviously all of Scorsese's music is excellent, and he compiles all the big scores. And he did the theme, actually, for The Irishman, that dirgy guitar, which was excellent. So yeah, the score is all modern classical music, apart from the Mahler. You've got in there On the Nature of Daylight by Max Richter. That's the sort of theme when he's remembering his wife. And that's obviously used in the wonderful, incredible opening of Arrival. Just one of the best movie openings I've seen in a very, very, very long time.
Is this working for you?
It is working for me.
I feel like I want to take that. The power is in my hands. It's great. This is the first time
You're on Take That?
No, not Take That. Take Me Out.
Yes.
I'm on Gary Barlow. The Oscar travesty. I mean, there is no Oscar travesty because it didn't win anything, and rightly so.
This is the only Scorsese DiCaprio joint to not be nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, it makes sense because you look at the other ones, and this is probably the worst of them.
I mean, it was a year of...
I mean, it's definitely Gangs of New York is the worst one.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, I cannot, in my good conscience...
I mean, we can't mention it without talking about Cameron Diaz's accent.
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, no, I was done with Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York has its good moments. I think any bad Scorsese film is still miles above a lot of these.
Yeah.
Precious is actively terrible. Precious is an actively bad film. And so definitely a Scorsese nomination would not be out of place. And also, Up, Jesus, what the shit is happening there?
Wait, is that the
Up is in the Disney one?
The balloon one. Oh, Up definitely deserves an Oscar nomination.
Oh yeah, Up's one of the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
100% that's
No.
Yeah.
Up is one of the best 10 minutes ever.
No.
You forget that there is another hour and 20.
What Disney picks?
It's great. Doug the Dog is great.
No. The first 10 minutes is excellent. There is no doubt about that.
And Rex.
Up and WALL-E are two of my favourite Disney Pixar movies.
WALL-E is wonderful. Still not Ratatouille. Where's the Ratatouille's nomination? That's your Oscar travesty. Inglourious Bastards. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, he still hasn't won, has he? He still hasn't won.
Still hasn't won.
And another thing you notice about this year is the sheer amount of nominated films in Best Picture.
I was going to say that.
This was
shocking.
Was this the first or the second?
2010 rings a bell because it's like the turn of the decade. Maybe just because it's 10 movies. But
no, it is this is the first.
Is it this one?
This is the first one.
Blindside's great.
But did you just say that? Sorry, The Blind Side's great.
I like Sandra.
You actively think that The Blind Side is a great film, but you think that this is dull and that I just can't get my head around. I know that opinions are opinions, but Christ.
Who won the big... Jeff Bridges? I've not seen Crazy Heart. Oh, no.
Crazy Heart's great, but Colin Firth in A Single Man should have won. George Clooney up in the air, very, very close second.
Oh, I'm a big fan, as we know, of Julie and Julia.
You just don't do yourself any favours.
I think it's great. However, Meryl Streep should not have been nominated at all for an Oscar in that.
Sandra Bullock shouldn't have won for The Blind Side. In what world? Carey Mulligan should have won for An Education.
Oh, Amy Adams. Is she in supporting?
No.
Oh.
Vera Farmiga should have won.
Christoph, that's your best win.
Yeah, Christoph should have won. Vera Farmiga should have won for Up in the Air, with Anna Kendrick as a close second. 9 was embarrassing. How is 9 nominated? Fantastic Mr. Fox should have won over Up. Are you going to now say that Fantastic
Disagree. Completely disagree.
Is this the Wes Anderson for best film?
No, I'm looking at best animated.
All right.
That's pretty good.
That is well deserved.
I would have to agree that Fantastic Mr. Fox should have won. Closely followed by
Coraline.
Up. Coraline's great. No, I do like Up, but for me, Fantastic Mr. Fox wins that. I love that film.
Up in the Air should have won Best Adapted Screenplay, and A Serious Man should have won Best Original Screenplay. Do we have Best Editing? Can I please see Best Editing, Will?
You may indeed. This is great. I want more power.
Shutter Island should be in there. Precious is
Star Trek won Best Makeup.
Yeah, I can see that.
God, it's got the ears on.
They made a movie about Il Divo.
Il Divo. Time to
say goodbye. No, it's Italian.
Sherlock Holmes. As in the Sherlock. Is this Sherlock Holmes year?
This is Sherlock Holmes year.
Where's Guy Ritchie's nomination?
Oh,
that's a
Will.
Sherlock's not that great, Will.
Where's Mark Strong's nomination?
Sherlock Holmes is a very enjoyable
Rachel
movie.
McAdams' nomination?
Sherlock Holmes is a very enjoyable movie that I look forward to talking about. I'm not giving it a damn Oscar.
Oh, stay there, Tom. It looks like you are now Christoph Waltz.
No,
anyway.
The joke doesn't work. It's my screen that's being recorded, and vis-a-vis.
Who can I can make you? Ray Beckett.
You can't make me anybody. The audience can't see any of this, Will.
What's next on our category list?
Next on our category list is Will's favourite building or set. Let's see if he...
The Lighthouse.
Did you watch The Lighthouse?
I like The Staircase.
I didn't.
Lighthouse is great. Continue. We can't go on another tangent.
I like... Yeah, The Staircase is excellent. I just like people doing up lighthouses into houses on Grand Designs. It's always cool.
This place used to be used for lobotomies, but Deirdre and Michael are going to turn it into a boudoir for his writing. They have
I don't know what kind of Grand Designs you've been watching, Tom, but...
It sounds like Kirsty Allsopp.
It sounds like Place in the Sun. They want to look at this £350,000 property with a budget of £200. Let's see what they can do. They want 5 rooms and a bowling alley, and this is a knocked-up shack.
I'll kick us off with best minute.
Yes, kick us off.
I thought I was still sharing screen. I would. Best minute for me is the Buffalo Bill car drive home.
It's incredible.
It's great.
Yeah, they tease you with Ted Levine. They're like, that's
great.
The warden. Are you sure he's not like a serial murderer? And they're like, no, he's the warden. And then you're like, oh, where's Ted Levine? And then you forget about him. And then he picks him up. And you're like, are we going to really sit for a minute and talk about whether God loves violence? You're goddamn right we are. Yes.
I've got that. I've got the sort of the flashback dream sequence that Becky alluded to earlier. That's a great minute. And I've got
the one with Ladies. The Ladies who looks like Robert De Niro in Frankenstein. It has the exact same bald and makeup. Mm. Yeah,
Sure.
and then Emily Mortimer's covered in blood, isn't she?
Yes. But it's also the flashback. You realise, you see him, what happened to him with his kids and his wife. That's all great.
Oh, the actual
Another
one.
thing I've thought of about this film is they go through at the end the lake sequence to explain what happened there. And obviously, you kind of find out what happens in the apartment with the fire, but you don't go through that. And the fact that he keeps getting these flashbacks to both, you'd almost expect to have both.
Well, I always presumed that it was because Teddy wasn't there for the burning down. I always presumed that, you know, I mean, I guess we could have had a minute of Teddy coming home to the burnt down house, but I think the cut from Rachel putting out her wet, water-drenched, waterlogged hand, cut to him coming home. I think the drama and the height of the trauma is obviously there. It
sort of adds to, you also then sympathise for him, because all he knows is all you know. Coming back to the house and seeing it like that, you will ask the same questions that he did at the time, and it starts you to think, oh, I need to know. And then my final minute, I've got the staff interviews. I like that little scene.
Yes, where they all don't give a shit. It's just, and they're really sarcastic.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Mark.
Back to the sympathy aspect. It's a really interesting choice to make him almost. I mean, it wasn't self-defense. It was cold-blooded murder. What he did. I don't think there's any of us who don't think that his murder of Michelle Williams was justified. I don't know. Is that just me? I'd kill her straight away. If you took my children.
I wouldn't. I would. Oh,
yeah, call the police.
I'd call the police and get her locked up and get her help. And then,
shooting her is a guaranteed way to end up in prison. So
I honestly don't.
Unless you stage a suicide, it's pretty.
So I'd be thinking, I don't want to go to jail.
Now, also,
and he seems like he was vaguely sane going into it, and obviously it was the shock of the kids being dead that made him do it. But I feel like he wouldn't have gone, because the whole reason he has this whole "I'm Teddy" thing is because he feels bad for killing his wife. So
no. He says
none of it would have happened.
No, because he says that I wasn't there for them. I killed them. He does the classic, third act conflicted lead character thing where it's like, he does Andy Dufresne where Andy says, I killed my wife. And Morgan Freeman goes, really? And he goes, no, but I wasn't there for her. She had to go out and she had to fuck other guys. I killed my wife. It's like, no, you didn't. That always annoys me. And I understand how guilt works. But you didn't drown all three of your kids. You don't have to feel
He did
kill
guilty. His wife, Tom.
You're damn right he killed his wife. I think Samuel L. Jackson had A Time to Kill where Kevin Spacey finally gets him to say it on the trial, and he goes, did you kill them? And he goes, you're goddamn right. I hope they burn in hell. And then Matthew McConaughey lowers his head and goes, ooh, this is going to be a rough trial. Sandra Bullock. Great film, A Time to Kill.
A View to a Kill.
A less good film. I'm happiest when I'm on my horse.
A horse?
Also, it's 1952. I don't know what state DNA's in. I don't know what state everything's in. Is there a detective who comes across this scene and is like, he drowned the kids as well?
I wondered that, but I don't know. If you've got the confession, I guess, that he killed his wife, and if they've got the evidence that she burnt down the apartment as well, there's possibly good enough evidence.
Yeah.
To say that. Plus, I mean, he's already being taken to Shutter Island for killing his wife and being insane. So whether he killed the kids or not is sort of a
Is it like straight away? Is it the morning after he goes, "Hey, my name's Teddy," and everyone's like, "What?" That night he was figuring out all of his little anagrams.
He's working out his voice. What should he have a lip?
What should my voice be? Ooh, maybe he was at Dachau. Figuring it all out. I mean, I'm no authority on psychotic mental illness, nor regular mental illness. I don't know how to specify psychotic.
Where's this split personality disorder?
Yes. Dissociative identity disorder, I believe, was what they landed on in the research aspect of it. Best line. Oh, no.
Oh.
Best single minute. Sorry, best single minute. I mean, I'll fly through them. We've talked about a lot of it. The cigar scene where we meet Max von Sydow, it's great. Great little supporting pseudo-villain. Is he good? Is he bad? Is he a Nazi? The Dachau sequence, I vividly remember as a child. And I specifically love when they kill them. And it's in that one. No, yeah, I specifically love that long tracking shot, and it feels almost like a gag, of like it just keeps going, and you're like, Jesus Christ! Like it doesn't cut away, it doesn't do anything. It continues for a good minute, just bang, 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 dead Nazis, just dropping. And also the visually aesthetic pleasing, well, I say aesthetically pleasing, the blood-soaked paper. I've always found that's an image that's always stuck with me since I saw it when I was 10. Both Rachel scenes, we've yet to talk about the marvellous Patricia Clarkson, who just does wonderful work in her little cave. Do we get to the point? This was my biggest problem with The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse was great. I very much enjoyed it. And I have this problem with a lot of, let's call them going mad movies, is that you get to a point about halfway through where you're just tired. And I think, I don't want to try and describe what you were trying to say, Will, but I think that's the sort of dullness that you were talking about. You sort of, in all these going mad movies, you sort of reach a trough where it's like, okay, yeah, they're crazy. Oh, nothing matters. And so you get to a point where you feel like nothing matters. And if it wasn't, same thing with The Lighthouse and Shutter Island, they're both so visually interesting and the performances are so great that it pulls you through. But you sort of feel like, okay, yeah, he's crazy. Oh, he's not real anymore. Oh, that didn't happen. And you sort of lose your way. Is this just me, or?
I see what you mean, but in the case of this film, it's just boring.
What do you think of Black Swan?
Not seen it.
Ever?
Black Swan's a great film.
Love Black Swan.
I like Black Swan.
Who doesn't? Great film. Absolutely brilliant film. And that's another one where it's sort of, actually, I'm saying all this. I don't think any of these films are boring, Will. I'm trying to justify your terrible opinion.
I'm getting you onto my side. I'm persuading you.
No, you're certainly not. Best line, Becky, you seemed rather excited. So why don't you kick us off?
I only have 4, but
okay.
They're kind of the only 4 good lines in the movie, really. But
yeah,
the only 4. There are a lot of good lines, Becky.
Well said.
Jesus.
It's because there's, I don't know, in other movies, I think there's a lot of like good one-off.
It's all right. It's all right. I understand.
Yeah. There's, the truth is, it's one fucking ugly tie. when he's like
a lot
doing
more
the
southern
car
than he is in the movie.
And then it's a repeated line, but my favourite instance of it is when
Ben Kingsley says,
Ben Kingsley
"Yes,
says,
it is.
Why are you all wet, baby?"
Yeah.
In a very English accent, and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay."
Oh yes, that's my favourite
yeah.
part of the film.
And because it's that, and then there's another line in this that it's almost like it suddenly turns slightly comedic in that lighthouse scene, and you're like, "What's happening? This is a different style of movie now."
Yeah.
Because he also says, "You blew up my car. I really love that car." And it was just sort of I don't know, it just took a slight turn. So those were three of them, and then the final one's obviously what's actually the second last line of the film.
Yes.
Which is, which would be worse, to live as a monster or to die as a good man.
Beautiful. Beautiful sentiment. And also, that's another thing, that there's no ambiguity at all, because Mark Ruffalo shouts out Teddy, and he doesn't turn around. It's just so obvious, and I feel like, so the amount of, I mean, it's clickbait, and I hope that we get some views off of it, but, the whole ending explained of Shutter Island, but it's like so obvious. It's there in the text, you don't need to ruminate on it, really. This is a game. All this is for you. You're not investigating anything. You're a fucking random maze. Like that. Why you all wet, baby? Just my favourite exchange. If I was to sink my teeth into your eye right now, would you be able to stop me before I blinded you? Give it a try. There's the spirit.
You've taken my second favourite line. You're taking all my lines.
Well, what's your favourite line? If that's your second.
It's Ben Kingsley saying, "Why are you all wet,
baby?"
And then that one was my second.
50 years from now, people will look back and say, here at this place is where it all began. The Nazis used the Jews, Soviets used prisoners in their own gulags, and we tested patients on Shutter Island. Yes, Becky?
That car scene when they talk about violence is actually my least favourite scene in the entire movie.
Why?
I think possibly because I don't know if I'm just being dumb by not fully understanding it, but it just doesn't really feel like it feels completely out of place to me.
That's probably why I enjoy it, because it's a relief from the film.
I like the back and forth of, it's the double meaning aspect again of, you don't know me. Oh, I know you. Yeah, I've been serving you for goddamn 2 years, you dumb shit. What's the change? I've got a lot.
Oh.
No, I've got a lot of questions. Actually, I've got a lot of questions. Yeah, I've done a few as myself. The glass, there's a lot of articles about how there's a lot of intentional editing mistakes to sort of throw you off. And the most obvious one is when she's drinking, but she's not got a glass, and then she puts it down and she has got a glass. And it sort of feels a bit too on the nose. And I think it also comes too early in the film. Maybe in the second half, when he's a bit more psychotic and he thinks he's having the hallucinations, he imagines a full scene with Patricia Clarkson. Maybe put it in that half. I've talked about the gun fumble. The ash fall. I think the image is beautiful, but I think the CGI is a touch rough. Ben Kingsley saying, "Are you all wet, baby?" The transcript. So in the final scene, we call it the final scene, the revelation scene, they're trying to have their cake and eat it, because he's like, "Oh, here's a transcript from your conversation with George Noyce." How the hell did they fully transcribe that entire thing? It's 1954. It's not like they've got little microphones everywhere in a Civil War fort. Because Scorsese, a correct choice, I feel, didn't do the usual suspects flashback of, I want to show you how clever I am, so I'm going to show you these lines again, where he goes, "This is all about you." I'm glad that they don't cut back to it. But all the same. And my final change, I think Michelle Williams is quite bad in her final scene. I love Michelle Williams. I thought her in Manchester by the Sea was just sublime. I mean, everybody was sublime in that, but specifically the pram scene. For anybody who's seen it, you can see that image right now, and it's enough, and it tears your heart right out. And she was excellent in it. Fosse Verdon was great. All 8 episodes of that, she was superb in. But I think here, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. I think she's overacting and not in a fun way. You know, me and Will, we love some good overacting, but here,
oh yes,
it sort of feels a bit on the nose.
What? God's gift to violence. When I came downstairs in my home and I saw that tree in my living room, it reached out for me like a divine hand. God loves violence.
I hadn't noticed.
Sure you have. Why else would there be so much of it? It's in us. It's what we are. We wage war and we burn sacrifices and pillage and plunder and tear at the flesh of our brothers. And why? Because God gave us violence to wage in his honor.
I thought God gave us moral order.
There's no moral order as pure as this storm. There's no moral order at all. There's just this. Can my violence conquer yours?
Not violent.
Yes, you are. You're as violent as they come. I know this because I'm as violent as they come. But the constraints of society were lifted, and I was all that stood between you and a meal. You would crack my skull with a rock and eat my meaty parts.
Becky, you said you had some changes.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things, but one of them is leading up to that kind of Ward C one, where he has the fight, and then what's his name? Like Chuck /
Dr. Sheehan.
Dr. Sheehan. When he just walks off with to help out this patient, and you kind of understand, but then you're like, but the whole point of you being there as Chuck is to look after Andrew / Teddy, and now you're just leaving him, and it feels completely out of the blue, and it's almost like it's been written in deliberately so that he can have this time alone to
it's literally it's such
and you're just sort of like every other opportunity he's like, oh, I'll come with, and even on the cliff he's like, oh, I'll come with.
It's such a painful
and it's only when you feel like
to get him to George Noyce. They just couldn't think of a way for him to get to George Noyce. And also, it's a big gamble that Dr. Sheehan is making of like, he'll know the way to get to George Noyce.
I can imagine he says, come on, let's go. And he's getting his gun out and he's fumbling. So he says, I'll be with you in 5 minutes. He can't use his gun.
I sort of got the image that the other guard who was like, no, you don't come with us. I got the image that he wasn't fully in on it, and he was like, no, you stay here. Because there is a vague look on Ruffalo of like, but this guy's
Ruffalo's always got that look.
There was, on the special features, he was like, there's a lot of stuff in the movie that you may watch in a first time and think, what the hell am I doing? But I hope on the second time it makes sense. And it's it's very funny. Any other changes, my dear Becky?
It's a very nitpicking one, but again in the Ward scene, lighting the match and just expecting it to produce as much light as it does. And they're slightly off with the timing in terms of when the match goes out and the light comes off. And then right at the end, the match goes out and the light stays. And I know that it's part of a hallucination because it's when his wife appears. And I kind of appreciate that, but also I don't know, it was just messy to me and I didn't like that. I thought they could have put a bit more into it. They could have made it darker around just this tiny little match, which would have given it even more atmosphere.
Any other changes?
I've talked about the car scene with the talk about violence, which I didn't really think fit in the film. And then the other thing is kind of more of a broad thing that's you're made to question sort of throughout whether he actually is crazy or whether they're convincing him that he's crazy so that they can force him to go through this procedure. And obviously by the end you're like, oh well, he obviously is crazy because like all this stuff happened in his past. I would have found it slightly more interesting if they'd done it in, I don't know how you'd do it, but done it in a way that by the end of the movie you're still questioning, have they just done this to make him feel like he's crazy so that he accepts going off for the lobotomy versus him actually being crazy? Because I feel like the ending is too certain. I wish there was more questions.
There was more ambiguity.
Obviously, lots of people are like, oh, does he think he's Teddy or does he think he's Gladys? And that's the question people are more concerned by, which in itself is quite obvious. But no, I feel like it would have been better if they'd kept the question in, is he actually crazy?
I think I prefer the ending that we have, the sort of, because it's the end of, because the plot doesn't matter anymore. It's about his character. And I think that's the perfect end to his arc of the acceptance of what he's done and that he just can't live with it. And I think that, you know, walking to his own death by his own choice, I think the startling image of that ending, I think that's what this whole, you know, I was so angry at the start of the podcast talking about how people think it's ambiguous, because it's not ambiguous. The point of it is this long walk to the gallows that he has chosen to make. And I think that the prowess of that I prefer. But I agree that I would, a bit more ambiguity, a fully ambiguous ending could have worked, like his other 2010 fare, Inception.
Miss Solando was put in her room for lights out. Does anyone here know what she did before that? Come on, anyone.
She was in a group therapy session.
Huh. Anything unusual occur?
Define unusual.
Excuse me?
This is a mental institution, Marshal, for the criminally insane. Usual isn't a big part of our day.
I will rephrase. Did anything happen last night during group therapy that was more, let's say, I don't know, memorable than...
Normal?
Exactly.
No, sorry.
Did Miss Solando say anything during group therapy?
She was worried about the rain. And she hated the food here. Complained constantly, last night included.
So you were there, was there a doctor present?
Will, have you got any changes?
I mean, I
change the whole
can,
film.
Yeah, I mean, I can add to, I suppose, if we want to talk about the middle of the film, your two sort of big main stories in that middle chunk is meeting George Noyce and that whole section, and then Rachel in the cave. Both of those are bad. Get better ideas for the middle of the film. And that, for me, is the end of...
Can you explain why you think they're bad?
I kind of agree.
I don't want to use the word anticlimax because I don't think they are anticlimax, and I think anticlimax almost is a compliment because it's again a sort of leads you up to a bigger twist at the end. I just think that it could have been a bit. I don't know. It's one of those things I know you hate, Tom, where someone said it's bad. Okay, then what would you have done? What would make it better? And if they don't have an alternative thing, why are you making? That's exactly what you're thinking right now.
A problem's not a problem unless you have a solution. No, but films are more objective, I guess. I personally think they're two excellently acted, very well written scenes. I think that and the Gods About Violence scene is the peak of the writing. But I guess that's just me. Anything left from your notes, Will?
No.
My notes? No, not really. Because most of my stuff this time is in questions. I've got a lot of questions. But before we get to them, some fun facts. The title is an anagram of truth and lies and truths/denials. Wow.
Firstly, that sounds like the Watch Mojo lady did.
I guess maybe Dennis Lehane was like, oh, you can make Island out of denials. Oh, no, you can't. Oh, no, yes, you can. Island. Yeah, you can make... And he might have been like the Island of Denials. And then he was like, oh, that's a bad title. Mark Ruffalo won the role after writing Martin Scorsese a personal letter. The working title for the movie was Ashcliffe. There was flirtation with an Ashcliffe TV series, a prequel. I don't know what that'd look like. I guess it wouldn't work though. Oh, go on.
I think this concept would work better as a TV series than a film. I think you've hit on something there.
I know what you mean.
I completely disagree. It's the exact same thing, the exact same problem I have with all prestige TV series. If this plot was stretched out for 8 episodes, I'd be talking like you're talking. I'd be like, I don't care anymore. I'd get to episode 4. I mean, sure, if it was all directed...
It would be good as a TV series if you had more characters and you could explore more of the plot lines as well. So you could have, like, you focus in on different people in Ashcliffe or whatever it is, and perhaps their different storylines. And obviously you've got the main one being Teddy Ladis, but you could have more interweaving things. I think that would work very well.
I guess David Fincher was considered as a director. I mean, David Fincher.
We like David Fincher.
The film was intended to be released in October 2009, but it was postponed because Paramount Pictures' remaining yearly marketing and Oscars campaigning budget could only afford for its 2 other movies, Up in the Air and The Lovely Bones. Wow, you made a good choice there with The Lovely Bones. Do we like The Lovely Bones? I mean, we don't. It's bad.
I've not seen either.
Up in the Air is excellent. Up in the Air I must be on the schedule at some point. I adore Up in the Air. Makes me cry every time. George Clooney's best. I adore Up in the Air. Leonardo DiCaprio's character has so polarized his 2 personalities that for the first part of the movie, Teddy never strikes a match. There is no doubt, however, that he associates matches with arson and the elusive Andrew Ladis. However, as Ashcliffe's treatment begins to merge his personalities, he begins striking his own matches, particularly when he traverses cell block C. The final.
That's a stretch.
Yeah, I know.
That's one of those ones where, like, you're doing English GCSE and they're like, oh, the blue curtains mean that this character's sad. And you're like, no, it doesn't.
The final line isn't in the book. Because it's from Teddy's point of view. And he basically just says, yeah, I'm gonna lie. I believe. I don't have the book. But that's the way that it sort of reads. That's that really for fun facts. Not many other. But as I say, I've got a lot of big questions. We sort of talked about this. Is this better on a first or a second or a rewatch? Will says first watch. I go
first
second watch. Yeah.
I think it was different. It was a different experience watching it the second time, but it definitely didn't.
I can remember.
I didn't enjoy it as much as the first time.
I was there for your first watch, and you were definitely enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, I love things that make you question and make you try and figure it out. And then people will tell me the answer, and I'm like, no, don't tell me the answer. I want to figure it out.
How do they normally get to the lighthouse?
Boat.
They take a boat every time? So you've got some crazy person that is so violent and dangerous you have to lobotomize them, and you're going to get them in a boat?
I mean, most lighthouses are not attached to shore. They are on a rocky outcrop.
But most,
and I'm guessing
most lighthouses aren't used for lobotomies.
How would you get to a lighthouse?
It's not used for lobotomies, is it? Isn't that just the whole...
Isn't that
it's where his office is.
I've just realised this. Yeah, the charade, it's a charade, isn't it?
Yeah.
However, there is that guy
kind
there.
Of empty.
There is that guy there, and they have electrified it.
Yeah, but it's to add to it's part of the story that they're telling.
And has the myth spread throughout all of Ashcliffe because George Noyce goes, they're going to take me to the lighthouse.
That's what he's been. He's an actor, Tom.
He's not an actor. George Noyce isn't an actor. Do you think that George Noyce was an actor?
I think he was just your local supermarket person that they got on board.
This is a really morbid one. How do you drown 3 children? Surely the other 2 run off.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways.
This is dark.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
I'm not sure I really want to think about this. I'm sure she had ways of either doing it all 3 at once, or she locked the other 2 in, maybe. Or
it's the mother's sort of connection with the kids. She probably just said, "Oh, come for a swim," and they, knowing it's that sort of supporting figure, they trusted her, and then she got him. That's
Daya complex. So the beginning boat, the opening of the film, do they drug him and then put him on the boat? And then
I think he just gets seasick.
No. I'm not saying why he's seasick. Right. I'm just saying, when does he wake up? When does his delusion start, or whatever?
This was my thing. I was like, the memory aspect is what confuses me the most, because obviously when he's Teddy, he doesn't remember his life as Ladis, but surely he must have some kind of memory loss before the boat, because he doesn't seem to remember what happened before the boat.
Yeah. It's almost like the film doesn't make any sense. My biggest problem, and it always has been my biggest problem, the anagrams don't work. Because we never hear him called Edward. And we never know that her maiden name is Chanel, or whatever Ben Kingsley says. Ben Kingsley has to say, your wife's maiden name was Chanel, wasn't it? Because your anagrams are shit. Because you know that it's too obvious that they're anagrams. They don't have to be anagrams. Just make them different names. Nobody's going, oh, wow, they've got an anagram, because we don't know that his name's Edward.
It's a stretch of dissociative identity disorder, because that's not often something people do. That's quite particularly not to do it subconsciously is quite impressive in a way. It's much more common for them to just go with a name that they knew or they had some association with.
It's Dennis Lehane thinking he's really smart.
Your middle name's Hector, isn't it?
Oh, yes. This reminds me of when I wrote a mystery book as a child, and I had a really good name for the villain, Harvey Sladen. And that's a good name, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good name. And then I was like, ooh, he'll have an anagram. And then I was trying to figure out names, and all I could get was Ray. And so his anagram name had to be Ray Vensladane.
Oh dear.
Or Anal Dirge-Pratt.
Anal Dirge-Pratt. Porn star. Porn legend, that's it, sorry. Porn
legend.
Are you a porn legend, Glenn? Well, my boyfriend seems to think so. Oh, enough of that.
Great. We love Valentine.
It's great crack. Synopsis of a sequel. You guys want a TV show? I couldn't think of anything worse. Closing line Hall of Fame. We've talked about how beautiful and poetic and marvellous.
It's not the closing line. The closing line is Teddy.
Oh, yeah, following our rule, yes.
Which we've, again, talked about how Teddy is another example of why it's not ambiguous. Don't know why people think it's ambiguous. And
I like that he decides to say Teddy instead of Andrew.
Because he's
after,
testing him.
You could imagine how... Yeah, but you could imagine how after he's just said to live or to die, that quote, you could imagine how he'd go... he'd suddenly go from, talking to him as Teddy, he says this thing, to then going, Andrew? As in to be like, oh, Andrew, you are there.
Mm.
So you could almost see it the other way as well.
Does, psychologically speaking, because Dr. Sheehan and Dr. Cawley aren't the medieval types that we have come to know, does Mark Ruffalo immediately say, no, don't lobotomize him, he's lying? The man we got through to, don't lobotomize him. I mean, even if Leo still keeps going, hey, I'm Teddy Daniel, I'm Andrew Ladis now, lobotomize me. Mark Ruffalo is a very clever psychiatrist, and apparently people can't see it coming. Oh, is it ambiguous? What does the ending mean? Is the movie better if Teddy goes, this nice place makes me wonder, would it be better to live as a monster or die after a lobotomy and not know anything about your wife? It obviously wouldn't. So, a very not the episode I expected.
I was saving it because I thought it would trigger you. I enjoy episodes where we have a differing opinion.
Well, lucky for you, I have to schedule movies that you like. So I know that, like, in 4 episodes' time or whatever, I'm going to listen to you rave about Ratatouille, and is
Ratatouille coming up?
Yeah, they're all coming up, Will. You know that.
Oh, great!
I don't just ignore all the movies. As much as I want to. As much as I would like to, I have to schedule movies that you like. Alas. This has been Shutter Island. Becky, any final thoughts on Shutter Island? A once a top 10, soon to be bombed.
Yeah, I really don't know. It's in the works whether it will stay in my top 10 or not. I think we'll see if any other films come about and replace it, but still a very good movie.
You've got a very fluid top 10, haven't you? Will similarly has quite a
6 to 10
fluid...
is very fluid. 1 to 5 solid and has been for a number of years.
I'm looking at my top 20 now, and it's just not changing. I hope it changes. I hope there are great films. I hope Once Upon a Time in Hollywood maybe might sneak his way in there eventually. I need to give it its time. I'm not like Will. I'm not just going to throw it in straight away. It took me, I can now firmly say that it's my favourite Tarantino, but I wanted to give it its time. I knew it was my favourite Tarantino as soon as I saw it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to... see if it stuck, and it did stick. I've been Thomas Carruthers.
I have been Will Leggetter.
And
I've been Becky Muggeridge.
And what a pleasure it has been. Shutter Island, indeed. Scorsese's done, and another series is done. We've got lots to look forward to.
You're really advertising. You're selling it. You're selling it. What have we got?
We've got more Peep Show.
More Peep Show.
We've got Sliding Doors. We've got Call Me By Your Name.
Funny you said that Once Upon a Time is your favourite Tarantino because, of course, we're doing the man, the myth, the legend himself. We're going to look at how many? 6, 7 of our favourite. 6 of our favourite Tarantino films. Yes. Yes. So I'll see you then.
Well, you'll see me before. You'll see me for Sliding Doors first. We are inviting back return guest Katrina Unit to talk about her favourite film of all time, a movie that neither of us have seen. So we're trying something new. We're trying seeing the kids, and the kids do love Sliding Doors. So, they love Gwyneth Paltrow. I love Gwyneth Paltrow. You don't like Gwyneth Paltrow?
I love Gwyneth Paltrow. I think she's especially exceptional in Glee.
Oh, yeah. Back to Glee.
Yeah.
We've come full circle on that Glee ride. Glee ride. Take it easy. Some free ride.
Dabba 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 da da ba 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 ba.